Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and discovering that coffee no longer exists. No morning cup before work. No cafes on busy city streets. No espresso machines humming in offices. No coffee shops filled with students, writers, entrepreneurs, and dreamers. For billions of people around the world, the day would feel incomplete. Coffee is one of the most consumed beverages on Earth. Every day, humanity drinks more than 2 billion cups of it. Entire economies depend on it. Millions of farmers grow it. Some of the world's largest corporations sell it. Yet few people ever stop to ask a simple question. How did a small red berry growing on a mountain named
Imagine waking up
tomorrow
became
morning
centers of
and
discussion
discovering that
and
coffee
criticism
no longer
Political
exists?
rumors spread
No
there.
morning cup
Revolutionary
before work.
ideas spread
No
there.
cafes
Religious
on busy city
debates spread
streets.
there.
No
Several
espresso
rulers
machines
attempted to
humming
ban
in
coffee
offices.
entirely.
No coffee
In
shops filled
1511,
with students,
authorities
writers,
in Mecca outlawed
entrepreneurs,
coffee,
and dreamers.
fearing it
For
encouraged
billions of
political
people around the
opposition.
world,
The ban
the day
failed.
would feel
People loved
incomplete.
coffee too
Coffee
much.
is one of the
Similar
most
attempts
consumed
occurred
beverages
elsewhere
on Earth.
across the Islamic
Every day,
world.
humanity
Again
drinks more
and
than
again,
2 billion cups
governments
of it.
discovered the same
Entire
reality.
economies depend
Once
on it.
people embraced
Millions
coffee,
of farmers
they
grow
refused
it.
to give it up.
Some of the
By the
world's
16th
largest
century,
corporations sell it.
the Ottoman
Yet
Empire
few people
had
ever
become
stop
one
to
of the
ask
most
a simple
powerful
question.
states on Earth.
How did a small
And
red berry
coffee
growing on a
became
mountain
deeply
in
woven
East
into
Africa
Ottoman culture,
become one of the most
coffee
important
ceremonies
products in
developed
human history?
elaborate traditions.
How did coffee help
Preparation
create
methods
global trade
became
networks,
refined,
inspire
social
revolutions,
customs evolved
build
around
fortunes,
serving
and
and
drinking
shape
coffee?
the modern world?
The Turkish
I'm
word
Aidan
"kah"
Thomas
would
of Hidden
eventually
History,
influence the
and
words
this
used
is
for
the hidden
coffee
history
in
of
many
coffee.
languages around
The
the
story
world.
begins more
Coffee
than
was
1,000
no longer
years
merely
ago in
a
the
drink.
rugged highlands
It had
of what is
become
now
a cultural
Ethiopia.
institution.
According to
But
legend,
Europe had yet
a
to
young
discover
goat
it.
herder named
That would
Kaldi
soon
noticed
change.
something
As
strange.
trade expanded
His
between
goats were
Europe and the Middle
behaving
East,
unusually.
travelers
They
began
were
returning with
energetic,
stories about
restless,
a mysterious dark
almost
beverage
dancing
consumed
across the hillsides
Islamic
long
world.
after sunset.
Some Europeans
Curious,
were suspicious.
Kaldi followed them and
Certain
discovered
religious
they had been
leaders
eating
called
bright
coffee
red berries
the bitter
from a
invention
particular
of
shrub.
Satan.
He
They
tasted
worried
the
about
berries
its
himself
foreign origins
and soon
and
felt
growing
the same
popularity.
burst of energy.
The controversy
Whether Kaldi was
eventually
a real
reached the
person
Vatican,
or
according
simply
to
a legend
popular
lost
accounts,
in time,
Pope Clement
remains
VIII
unknown.
was asked to
But
condemn
historians
coffee.
agree on one thing.
Instead, after
Coffee
tasting
almost
it,
certainly
he reportedly
originated
enjoyed
in
it
Ethiopia
so much
for
that he blessed the
centuries.
drink.
Local
Whether
communities
the story is
consumed
completely
coffee in
true
different
remains
ways.
uncertain.
Some crushed
But
the cherries
one fact is clear:
and mixed them with
coffee
animal
rapidly
fat to create
spread
energy-rich
across Europe.
food.
By
Others
the 17th
fermented the
century,
fruit into
coffee
primitive
houses
beverages.
were opening in Venice,
But coffee
London,
as we know it today
Paris,
had not
Vienna,
yet been born.
Amsterdam,
That transformation
and other major
happened
cities.
across the Red
And
Sea.
something extraordinary
By the 15th
happened.
century,
Europe
coffee
changed.
had reached
Before
Yemen
coffee,
on the Arabian
many
Peninsula.
people started their day
Here,
drinking beer,
something remarkable
wine,
occurred.
or ale
Sufi
because
mystics
water
discovered
was
that a
often
drink
unsafe.
made from roasted
Alcohol
coffee beans helped
consumption
them
during
stay
daily
awake
life
during
was
long
common.
nights of prayer
Coffee
and
offered
meditation.
a different kind
For
of
people
stimulation.
spending hours
It
in
sharpened
spiritual
attention,
devotion,
increased
coffee
alertness,
felt almost miraculous,
encouraged conversation.
The drink quickly spread
Some
through
historians
religious
argue
communities
that coffee
and
helped
eventually
fuel
into
the
towns
intellectual
and
environment
cities
that
across the
contributed
Islamic
to the
world.
Enlightenment.
Soon
Coffee houses
began
began
appearing
in
in
major
places for
centers
scientists,
like Mecca,
merchants,
Cairo,
writers,
Damascus,
philosophers,
and
Istanbul.
and political thinkers.
These establishments were
Ideas
unlike
that
anything the
transformed
world
the modern
had seen
world
before.
were often discussed
People
over
gathered to
cups
drink
of
coffee, discuss
In England,
politics,
coffee
share
houses
news,
played
play
games,
known as
debate
penny
philosophy,
universities,
and
exchange ideas.
For the price of a penny,
some
anyone
historians
could
call them the
enter,
world's first
purchase a cup
public
of coffee,
intellectual
and
spaces.
participate
They
in
became
conversations
known
about
as
science,
schools of the wise,
economics,
literature,
in many
and
ways,
politics.
coffee houses
Knowledge
were the
became
ancestors
more
of modern
accessible.
cafes,
Social
universities,
barriers weakened.
newspapers, and
Innovation
social media
accelerated.
platforms.
Some of
Ideas
the world's
moved
most
faster
influential
because coffee
institutions
existed,
emerged
and
from coffee
rulers
houses.
noticed.
The
Throughout
insurance
history,
giant Lloyd's of London
governments
began
have
in a
often
coffee
feared
house.
places where
Stock
ordinary
traders
people
gathered
gathered
to
in
exchange
coffee
ideas
houses
that eventually evolved into major financial exchanges. Newspapers distributed information through coffee house networks. Coffee wasn't simply accompanying history, it was helping create it. As demand exploded, European powers faced a problem. Most coffee came from the Arabian Peninsula. The Arab world carefully guarded coffee production. Exporting fertile coffee plants was prohibited. They wanted to maintain a monopoly, but European empires were determined to break it. The Dutch were among the first to succeed. In the late 1600s, Dutch traders obtained coffee plants and transported them to colonies in Southeast Asia, particularly Java. The experiment succeeded. Coffee production expanded dramatically. The word Java eventually became a nickname for coffee itself. Soon other European powers followed. The French smuggled coffee plants into their colonies. The Portuguese transported coffee to Brazil. The British established plantations in various territories. Coffee was becoming a global commodity.
But this expansion carried a terrible human cost. Across the Caribbean, South America, and other colonial regions, coffee plantations often depended on enslaved labor. Millions of people were forced into brutal working conditions to satisfy growing global demand. The wealth generated by coffee frequently flowed to colonial powers while workers endured hardship and exploitation. Like sugar, tobacco, and cotton, coffee became deeply connected to the darker realities of empire. Nowhere would coffee prove more transformative than Brazil. In the 18th century, coffee arrived in the country almost by accident. According to legend, a Portuguese officer charmed the wife of a French governor and secretly received coffee seedlings hidden inside a bouquet of flowers. Whether the story is fact or myth, coffee quickly flourished in Brazil's climate. By the 19th century, Brazil had become the world's largest coffee producer. Entire regions transformed into coffee-growing economies. Railroads were built to transport beans. Ports expanded. Cities grew. Political power shifted toward wealthy coffee elites. For decades, coffee dominated Brazil's economy so completely that historians often describe the period as the age of coffee with milk politics. Coffee wasn't just influencing commerce. It was influencing government itself. Meanwhile, coffee consumption continued rising across Europe and North America. The Industrial Revolution accelerated demand even further. Factories required workers who could remain productive during long shifts. Business leaders needed alert employees. Urban populations sought affordable stimulants. Coffee fit perfectly into the new industrial world. As cities expanded, cafes multiplied. By the late 19th century, coffee had become one of the most valuable commodities on Earth. Then came war. During the American Civil War, soldiers frequently relied on coffee for energy and morale. Union troops received coffee as a regular part of their rations. Many veterans returned home with even stronger coffee habits than before. Coffee consumption surged after the war. The pattern repeated during World War I and World War II. Military planners recognized coffee's ability to improve alertness and morale. Governments ensured supplies reached troops whenever possible. Coffee became associated with comfort, endurance, and home. After World War II, another transformation began: the rise of instant coffee. Companies developed new methods to produce coffee quickly and conveniently. Busy families embraced the change. Brands expanded globally. Coffee entered millions of homes. Yet another revolution was waiting. In 1971, a small coffee company opened its first store in Seattle. That company would eventually become Starbucks. At first, it simply sold coffee beans and equipment. But under new leadership, the company adopted inspiration from Italian espresso bars. Coffee became more than a beverage. It became an experience. Comfortable seating, personalized drinks, social spaces, premium branding. Starbucks helped create what economists call the third place, a location that exists between home and work. The concept spread worldwide. Soon, coffee culture became a global phenomenon. Independent cafes appeared everywhere. Specialty coffee emerged. Consumers began caring about bean origins, roasting methods, brewing techniques, and flavor profiles. Coffee transformed from a basic commodity into an art form. Today, coffee is one of the most traded agricultural products on Earth. More than 25 million farmers depend on coffee production for their livelihoods. The global coffee industry generates hundreds of billions of dollars annually. From Ethiopian highlands to Brazilian plantations, from Vietnamese farms to New York cafes, coffee connects people across continents. Yet the industry faces new challenges. Climate change threatens traditional growing regions. Rising temperatures affect crop yields. Diseases damage plantations. Farmers struggle with price volatility. The future of coffee remains uncertain. Scientists are developing more resilient varieties. Companies are investing in sustainable production. Researchers are searching for ways to preserve one of humanity's favorite beverages. Because coffee is more than a drink. It is history in a cup. The next time you take a sip of coffee, remember the journey behind it. Remember the Ethiopian mountains where the story began. Remember the Sufi mystics who used it to stay awake through the night. Remember the coffee houses where philosophers debated ideas that changed the world. Remember the traders, sailors, farmers, laborers, and entrepreneurs who carried it across oceans and continents. Remember the revolutions, empires, businesses, and cultures it helped shape. For over 1,000 years, a simple bean has connected civilizations. It has fueled conversations, inspired discoveries, built fortunes, and transformed societies. Not bad for a small red berry growing on a mountain. Because history isn't hidden in museums. Sometimes it's waiting inside your morning cup of coffee. Hot beverage globe showing Europe, Africa.